to all of you for the 4th memorial lecture of Dr. B. Ramamoorthy.
Honorable Vice Chancellor and today's president of this event, the most respected keynote speaker, today's memorial lecturer, Dr. J.C. Katyal Saab, former Deputy Director General Education, ICAR, and Honorable Vice Chancellor, Chaudhary Charan Singh, Horticulture University, Haryana Agriculture University, Haryana, esteemed family members, and near and dear of late Dr. B. Ramamoorthy, who have joined online from Australia, United States of America, and other parts of the country. Thank you very much, madam, for joining in this program. Distinguished university officers, members of the Board of Management, distinguished directors, officers, and other dignitaries from the ICR and local institutions, and all the associate deans who have joined online, and also associate director of research, and all the faculty members from various research centers and KVKs and DAT centers. My dear students and research scholars and members from print and electronic media, a very good morning to one and all. On behalf of the Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State Agriculture University, and on my personal behalf, I extend a warm welcome to all of you for this 4th memorial lecture arranged in honor of Dr. B. Ramamoorthy, who was an icon in soil science and agriculture chemistry.
I am Uma Rao, eldest daughter of Dr. B. Ramamoorthy, working as a chief statistician, Victoria Police in Australia. I'm grateful and delighted to have the opportunity to reflect on my father on this occasion and say a few words about him on my and my siblings' behalf. Our father was a dedicated scientist, which resulted in significant contribution to the knowledge of soil fertility and agriculture productivity. His publication, citation, and awards speak volumes about his scientific acumen. Some of his PhD students who are met in UK and also in Australia are full of praise of his achievements, and they admire him for the expert knowledge in his scientific field and his ability to teach and mentor others. Here we reflect on our father's personal qualities and life experience, which he integrated very well with his professional life and imparted onto his children. He was not only an exemplary scientist, but was also excellent mathematician and a teacher. He was extremely helpful and made us understand complex mathematical concepts by using simple, practical examples. I wanted to do BA honors in economics, but he encouraged me to do honors in mathematics. Hence, I am now a practicing statistician and love my profession without any regrets. Ever since I was a child, I have seen him periodically distributing food to the poor and destitute around him on special occasions. An ethical and equitable nature was one of the many important attributes he possessed. As my brother, Dr. Krishnaram, put it, he was always encouraging his children to be honest and believed in simple living and high thinking. He supported education immensely and was a passionate advocate for education of girls, in case girls need to support themselves in future. All his children and their spouses are well educated and have done well in their chosen professions. The credit goes to his vision. He even sent one of his daughters to study post-graduation in Hisar, a long way from Delhi. Those good old days, it was a bit bold to send a girl a long way to study. His passion for higher education and research can be seen in many philanthropic activities he sponsored during his life, such as instituting 10 merit awards in various subjects at the graduate level to the students of Venkateswara College, New Delhi, Best Teachers Award in the same college and at IARI, New Delhi, and an award to research worker up to the age of 40 years, actively engaged in the field of soil science, agriculture chemistry, and agriculture physics at IARI, New Delhi. My father always praised and was grateful to a very famous Indian agriculture scientist, Padma Shri Dr. G.V. Chalam, who is well known as a pioneer of Green Revolution in India, along with Dr. Swaminathan. This was not only for bringing Green Revolution to India during the famines in 60s, but also because Dr. Chalam approached my father for marriage alliance of his son with me. Spirituality being personal faith and life experience for him. He allowed family members to follow their own spiritual path. He always used to stress more on self-effort over God's grace, lest the seeker may become lethargic and unpreserving. My second brother, Dr. Sivaram, reflects, my father was always a great source of inspiration to me, my siblings, and late to his grandchildren. He encouraged all of us to aim high in all aspects of life, work hard, and achieve success. He was strict and ensured we all completed our assignments and submitted on time, whether we were in school or colleges. However, he didn't impose this by any strict rules. He only displayed by showing it in all walks of his life. I was always proud of my father's knowledge and achievement, especially more when I was specializing in geotechnical engineering, and I could easily discuss the intricacies of soil chemistry with him. My sister, Dr. S. Adilakshmi, ponders. He was very much impressed with Dr. M.S. Swaminathan's work and achievements in the field of agriculture. Father was of the view that the subject of plant breeding offers much better scope to achieve higher goals professionally. He motivated her to take up botany in the graduation level and genetics at a postgraduate level, though her interest was mathematics. He advised that interest in mathematics would be helpful in its application in quantitative genetics. She followed his advice wholeheartedly. It gave her full professional satisfaction, and with her devotion to scientific research, she achieved national recognition in her field. My last brother, B. Ganesh, has interestingly put his thoughts. When I decided to move to Australia, my mother obviously wasn't happy for me to go, but my father was very supportive and gave his own example by saying that he moved to North India from Andhra Pradesh for the betterment of his career. He had great foresight and had practical view of everything. He encouraged me to pivot from pure science and practical courses such as microwave electronics. Later, it proved to be the right decision for me to do so, as I was able to secure a good job immediately after I completed my graduation. My last sister, Dr. Y. Subbalakshmi, nicely describes his qualities and experience. My father was a kind, loving, compassionate, highly principled, and spiritual person. I admire my father for his family values, kindness, honesty, and integrity. He came from poor family, faced several challenges in his life, and still progressed to become an award-winning scientist through his dedication and integrity. He had a very good ability to judge what is right and what is wrong. He inspired me very much as a good scientist. I remember he once talked about the value of interdisciplinary interdisciplinary science. I utilize cross-disciplinary skills successfully in my profession of environmental science and chemistry, and I am proud of it. Now I'm just going to go some of the views of his grandchildren. Tatagaru was a man who excelled in his career and family life, raising 6 children. He was a brilliant academic who selflessly gave himself to his God, his profession, family, and the country. Nelson Mandela said, "A good head and a good heart are always formidable combination." Tatagaru was true reflection of this combination. He was widely respected among his peers, friends, and family. To summarize, besides being respected scientist, our father was a humble, kind, compassionate, honest, highly principled person who lived and emphasized balanced way of life. He was inspirational to one and all, with whom he came in contrast in his professional and personal life. We believe scientists, particularly budding scientists who are sitting in this auditorium, and PhD and graduate agriculture chemistry students will be inspired by his scientific contribution and personal qualities, experiences through this memorial lecture, and they in turn contribute greatly to Indian agriculture, society, and the country. I would recommend the students to have some good role models and emulate their good qualities to achieve their goals. Thank you from me and all my siblings. Namaste.
State of natural resources and role of regenerative agriculture in mitigating their degradation. Why my concern for degradation? India is a country which has only 2.4% of the land area of the world. India is the country which has only 4% of the water of the world. India is the country which has 12% of the livestock population of the world. India is the country which inhabits 17% of the world population. So you can imagine 2.5% of the world land serving 17% of the world population. And this is actually unique. India has performed. India has done very well in agriculture, thanks to the scientists sitting here, students who are for the future, who actually made this possible. India is not only food self-sufficient, India is actually exporting. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that we can feed the world. We have so much food. But there is a caveat to that. Actually, the kind of 2.5% land we have, 17% population pressure of human beings, and 12% population of the livestock is actually very, very denting, very, very hurting. Land is degrading, its soil health is in danger, and that's why the productivity growth rates on which we depend, they are declining. So that is my lecture about. And yeah, I begin by sharing with you what are natural resources. You know it, I know it, I am not teaching you something new. Natural resources are actually reserves existing on planet Earth. But what you may be knowing, natural resources are the resources which are given by nature, not by man. They have come from nature actually, they have not given by man. Nature took millions of years to form natural resources. In all, there are 13 natural resources: land, water, energy, phosphorus, potassium, iron, and other minerals, and rocks, forests, biodiversity, animals. Sustainable life and sustainable development depends on natural resources. Good health. Good health means the way we inherited from nature. The way we inherited the carbon-rich natural resources as far as soil is concerned. And for agriculture, land, water, air, biodiversity, and energy are the primary natural resources. I hope you can read it, you can see it. And land ecosystem. Land is an ecosystem. Many people may not be knowing it. Land is not just a piece of mass of area. land is an ecosystem which includes soil, water, biota, microclimate, physiography. So what natural resources do actually? These four natural resources give environmental services. Food production is one environment service which these natural resources give. Stocks millions of tons of carbon, which give health to soil, which regulate climate change, which regulate biodiversity. What has come? Can you take it off? Yeah, thank you. And man did not pay for natural environmental services or natural resources. So it is incumbent on man to save the natural resources for any degradation and maintain them in good health. Land, soil, some basic facts. Land, the key natural resource for agriculture, no doubt about it. Land, please don't bring these extras. I'm not doing anything. So, thank you. Land is the key natural resource for agriculture, and it is the top layer of Mother Earth, formed from cooling of molten lava. So land doesn't have depth. Land is an area, and soil is a component of land, and it is outcome of rock weathering. Of course, land also weathers, gives rise to that, and so does the soil, and so does the rocks. Despite separate meaning, land and soil are not same. Please, this will distract everyone and distract me also. I don't know why it is happening. Leave it alone. Despite separate meaning and origin, land originates differently, soil originates differently. They are, because there is a land or soil on they use actually, but both of these offer common environmental services, that is food production, climate change, and others. But I will use the terms land and soil interchangeably. I will not distinguish because both are offering environmental services. That's why, and major focus of my presentation is land or soil. No exaggeration. I'm not making an exaggeration. If Earth is inhabited because there is land or soil on it, Earth means planet Earth. It is inhabited because there is a land. We have land or we have soil. When you have land, you have the world. They said Cox, to reach the goal of sustainable life and living, man must refrain from damaging soil's basic attribute of giving environmental services. Man should not mismanage it. Man should misuse it so that we destroy it. In quantity, soil is fixed. We have, say, for instance, 140 million hectare of net cultivated area. 140 million remains 140 for the last 40 years. We cannot expand it. But health is not. Health is not constant, while the area is constant. About 140 million hectareable land must produce 95% of the food. Only 5% come from other resources. You must remember that. So much dependence is there. Without sustaining soil health and quality, hard-earned food self-sufficiency, what I mentioned in the beginning, will be exposed to risk. Hence, if man fails to protect natural resources health, degradation in quality follows. So you manage it. I will not work from here. Okay? I will tell you that when to move the slide. That is much easier. If man fails to protect natural resources health, degradation in quality follows, leads to food insecurity, climate change. I prove that. I will tell you a little later on this part. It dents productivity and provisioning of environmental services. Indians, we, all of us, value of soil health was known to us 3,000 years back. Vedic hymn to earth, Prithvi Sukta. I don't know ever you have seen this book even. This book is wonderful. Actually, I will tell each one of you, even if you are not student of science, student of soil science, must read this. This is actually some 49 verses are there, which are devoted only to earth, which are devoted only to soil. And it narrates, upon this handful of soil, our survival depends. Husband it, manage it, and will grow our food, our fuel, and our shelter, and surround us with bounty. Abuse it, mismanage it, and the soil will collapse and die, taking man with it. In heart of this verse lies farming efficiency, agricultural sustainability, and environmental quality, and linkages among these in the quest for human well-being and survival. I say, मिट्टी नहीं बचाओगे तो अन्न कहाँ से लाओगे? If you don't save the soil, from where will you bring food? If you next is कहाँ से पानी का कैसे संचित करोगे? That means how you will conserve water, and last is how you will conserve the climate. So I continue. To ensure physical, social, economic access. I have used these three terms. I will narrate to you why little later. And to sufficiency, food and safe food and provisioning of environmental services, man must adopt management practices that inspire sustenance of soil health, not degrading it, safety of water from degradation in quality and quantity, saving biodiversity from depletion, keeping speed of global warming less than 1.5 degrees Celsius during the next century. It comes to less than 0.1 even global warming rate. Hence, sustaining soil health is necessary to serve growth in food production and maintain flow of environmental services. Green revolution techniques, high yielding varieties, fertilizers, irrigation, they actually ensured full self-sufficiency, no doubt, but at the cost of natural resources, health. Agriculture growth at crossroads. What is soil health? First, I am talking about soil health. Soil health, what is that? Yes, please. Soil health. Soil health has been defined in many ways. Many, your teachers, students who are sitting here, they must have been taught that what is the definition of soil health. It in many different ways. The first definition actually came from Niall Brady book, which was the last edition, I think 13th edition. One given by the FAO and ITPS, that is ITPS is Intergovernmental Technical Panel on Soils in 2020, seems most acceptable. It states, soil health is the ability of a soil to sustain productivity, biodiversity, and flow of environmental services of terrestrial ecosystem. In well-managed system, soil health can be managed, promoted to recovered through the implementation of sustainable soil management practices. Sustainable soil management practice, this I will be using many times in my lecture to follow. Sustainable soil management practices actually in very simple, but I will define it later. The meaning is that what you take out from soil, give it back. No, don't just mind it. इसका दुहन मत करो. वो है मतलब. Like human health, no single measure, no single parameter that captures all aspects of soil health. Of many parameters, 4 attributes seem outstanding. This is, I have summed up these target indicators of soil health. Number 1 is productivity. A soil in good health must continue to produce sustainably, must continue to yield sustainably. That is first requirement. Second is environmental services. A soil in good health must regulate climate change. Number 3, efficient use of inputs must help in maintaining efficient use of inputs and containing rise of adverse outputs like contaminants, pollutants. This is third. Last one, this is added very recently, human health. And soil health has actually deeply connected to plant, animal, air, and human health with quality of soil environment. And this is actually very important because if soil is in good health, that means interconnection between air, water, plants is fairly balanced, then the kind of one health concept which is being propagated in the world today, please take it back, will be a kind of jeopardized, will not be successful. So soil health with human health, this is a new subject. I would actually request the teachers here to please teach this aspect, connection of soil health with human health. This is actually full publications are there available. And actually preservation of these attributes, these 4 attributes, as capturing and managing soil are important. And actually without them, this will not be. And if one is out, one of the 4 measures are out, one is bad, all the 4 are nullified. No effect of it. Just like if the blood pressure is bad, sugar is bad, then how we will maintain good health? So everything has to be corrected. If sugar has to be corrected, blood pressure has also to be corrected. So like that, it's a sign. Next, please. Symptoms of failing soil health. You must be wondering that we have symptoms. If I have blood pressure, I will develop headache. If I have sugar, I'll feel fatigue, or I will have other symptoms. Land degradation is not sudden. Soil also develops some symptoms. It's insidious progress. That means in छुपी हुई progress जिसको कहते हैं ना, under the carpet progress, or consequences become clearer with time as man continue to mismanage and resorts to mining without equal measures to restore what is withdrawn. That is actually sustainable soil management. Inception of soil health begins, decline begins with consistent fall in productivity, which shows up as fall in output per unit of input. Farmers will normally say previously with 1 bag of urea, I used to get 5 bags of paddy. Now I get only 3 bags. So that is actually the kind of part I'm saying. Please. As stagnating cost of output, but increasing value of inputs. Inputs cost are increasing, but value of output is not increasing. So that is another symptom. Excess of deficiency of elements like zinc deficiency in 60s. And 4th is loss of soil integrity, buffering capacity, resilience. Soil has resilience. That soil can actually renew itself. If soil, in good olden days, they used to leave land fallow for a couple of years and come back and then plow it. That was resilience actually. Next, please. Next. Agriculture activities spurring land degradation. I have listed here 9 actually. 9th place was not there, that I put separately. First is the mismatch of land attributes and mismatch of use of soil and land attributes. Actually, this is one thing very important. You as student of soil science or physiology must be knowing. If sorghum is cultivated on acid soils, sorghum will not grow. If sorghum doesn't grow, land will be left fallow, land will be bare. If land is bare, it is open to degradation. So that's the meaning. And land use changes, converting ecologically important lands to non-ecological purposes, like changing forest lands to agriculture. And excessive tillage. Excessive tillage means this is we normally do, tillage after tillage. This is actually a big factor which is controllable by conservation agriculture of falling soil health. Planting along the slope, we say no, don't plant along the slope, but plant across the contour. So that's the kind of method. Use of heavy machinery, irrigation without drainage. This is again, normally in irrigation projects, maximum effort is to place an irrigation system. But irrigation system means conveyance of water and provision of drainage. Drainage is not attended to that much in professionally. That's the reason rise of salinity and rising use of pesticides. And last is the inefficient, last but one, inefficient use of inputs like fertilizer use efficiency. Fertilizer use efficiency, I will show you a slide a little later, was 50% in 1960s. It is about 30% now. So fertilizers actually one, again, very big reason for falling soil health. This is mismanagement. Fertilizers have nothing to do with soil health, but it is the mismanagement of fertilizers, imbalanced use of fertilizer, which is responsible. And monoculture, rice after rice after rice. I have seen in coastal Andhra, I have seen in West Bengal, I have seen in Odisha, rice after rice after rice. That means three crops of rice. That is monoculture. And also cereal rotations as it happens in Punjab. These are the actually 8-9 reasons which actually the modern practices, modern agriculture actually has brought bad name or hurt the soil health. Next, please. And state of soil health, types and causes. Globally, 1 billion hectares suffer from soil degradation, not land degradation. Now there's slight difference. If we look at land, then the area is more than 2 billion. Globally, 1 billion hectares suffer from soil degradation. India's share is 10%. We have about 110 million hectares. 10 types of soil health degradation: topsoil loss, sealing. It happens in Andhra Pradesh. Sealing is a very big problem of dryland soils, actually. It happens in alphisols. And compaction, it happens in Punjab. Chemical contamination, that means excessive concentration of certain elements, pollutants, salinization, irrigation without drainage, soil organic carbon loss. This is a very big factor. This is the prime factor of all other bad things happening to soil. And nutrient imbalances, soil cover loss, converting ecologically superior lands to agriculture. So that's the other factor. And also the biodiversity depletion. And causes, wind and water erosion at the top. Nearly 1 out of 9 hectares of soil which is lost, soil health is lost, is because of erosion. And land use changes, overexploitation, overuse, misuse of, imbalanced use of resources, overstepping carrying capacity. And you can see the carrying capacity. In Rajasthan, I give you an example, where there used to be 3 animals grazing on certain area, 1 unit of land. There are about 9 animals grazing on the same area. That is overstepping the carrying capacity. And agricultural activities, bioindustrial activities, largely all of them, if you look them carefully, all caused by man. These have not caused by nature. There are some imperils, there are some dangers, some hurts which come from nature, but mostly land degradation or soil health decline is because of man-induced activities. Process of land degradation, water erosion, wind erosion, chemical degradation, and physical degradation. I'm not defining these terms because all of you understand what do I mean by these. Next, please. And if we see the relative share, this is India's data. 68% is water erosion, about 20% is chemical degradation, that means happening because of fertilizers. Wind erosion, 10%, and physical degradation is very little, about less than 1%. Next, please. Let us look at the share of man-made activities in this. In erosion, if we look at, there's diversification and deforestation is the major cause. And then, of course, overexploitation and overgrazing. If we come to the wind erosion, main cause again is deforestation. Overexploitation is overgrazing is a major cause of wind erosion, as it happens in Rajasthan. And if chemical degradation, you look at it, what is happening with which we are concerned deeply, directly, the kind of science we follow, 55% comes from actually chemical degradation, and 25% comes from erosion, that is bad management of soil. And if you look at physical degradation, 80%, almost 80% comes from man-made activities, that is compaction, sealing, and other things. Next, please. Now, how do we control? I will not go into details actually, just to tell you in a small scale. Control of land degradation or desertification. There is a difference between land degradation and desertification. Desertification is also land degradation, but land degradation happening in areas which are arid, which are semi-arid, or which are subhumid. Land degradation is everywhere. So that means land degradation defines actually desertification also. And 96.4, this is the latest figure actually, the previous figure was 110 million. This is the figure came from ISRO. According to them, erosion, water, wind erosion is 40%, 16%, vegetation ruin 30%, salinity, acidity, compaction, pollutant, infertility, all put together 14%. Actually, they have not, you can say, stratified these changes, but I have put them together. And all processes, whether it is vegetation ruin, whether it is erosion, the loss is of soil organic carbon. It is the victim is the soil organic carbon. So soil organic carbon is the mirror image of soil health. If somebody talks about soil health, he is actually talking of soil organic carbon, sustenance of soil organic carbon. Now, in dryland areas, erosion main degradation process action plan involves CBO, community-based organizations. This is very important. Actually, if people are not participating, then you can think of that we are not doing anything. The situation remains the same. Okay, involve CBOs, ridge to valley approach. That means topo sequence following. Involve change agent to hasten. This is very important. As long as there is Anna Hazare, there is a change. If Anna Hazare is not there, that change is not sustaining. This happened to 47 model watersheds of ICR. Actually, as long as ICR was involved, scientists were guiding, model watersheds were model watersheds. Once ICR left, scientists left, then that became difficult. So presence of a change agent working with the CBO is very, very important. I will rate this is the success of natural resources management if a change agent like Rajendra Singh in Rajasthan, so many other people, as long as they are there, that land degradation is halted, so water is conserved, otherwise not. Sport, what should we weigh? Sport establishing mechanical or vegetative measures on cost sharing basis because erosion is the main factor. Community-based organization contribute labor. They actually contribute to maintenance of what is erected, and government funds creation of barriers. So this kind of sharing is important, where people are the ones who are making the barriers, people are the ones who are maintaining those barriers. In irrigated areas, inefficient use of fertilizer and water are the main causes. Enhanced use efficiency of fertilizer is 30%, of water is 30%, but it's surface water, not the groundwater. Groundwater is slightly higher. And take steps to build soil organic carbon, accelerate spread of CA or RA. RA is regenerative agriculture. I will tell you what is the difference between CA and RA. CA is conservation agriculture. And apply fertilizer nutrients as per SHC, soil health card, or as per soil test values. There is a huge saving in fertilizers if farmers start accepting soil test based application and involve people in water use and management. Next, please. This I have brought down another LDN. LDN is land degradation neutrality. That means zero land degradation. This is a goal set by the UN SDG 15. There are 17 of them. SDG 15 is on land. And in that there are targets. Target 5 is actually on land degradation neutrality. Every country who is signatory to that document of Sustainable Development Goals will bring about degradation of land to zero or minimum by 2030. That is land degradation neutrality. The first action is actually protecting. We must protect the land from getting degraded. Or what is degraded in quality already? Let us start reviving it, regenerating it. Second is the conserving. Whatever has been protected, whatever has been saved, it must be conserved. And third is the growing sustainably. After that, we have to use holistic management practices so that we can sustain that land which has been recovered. Next, please. These are the 10 action points. These are long ones. I will not read them. But again, the message is the same, that involvement of people is the centric. Outcome of the protection is soil organic carbon. Any action which is creating soil organic carbon and any action which is involving people, when people become responsible, then actually things start changing. People have to become, that's why the failure of natural resource scientists is, they actually never involve social scientists, or seldom involved, less involved. Now they are thinking, now they are involved. That's why this change is happening. Next, please. But I said in the, I use somewhere the terms social sustainability, environmental sustainability, economic sustainability. This is actually a kind of learning point for you. Sustainable management system, TBL. TBL means triple bottom line. Is the one, these three parameters must be achieved if any soil management system is successful. One is economic sustainability, which I have put at the top. If economics doesn't favor any treatment which you are telling, then I don't think farmers will accept it. And I have given the parameters of economic sustainability. And then environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability are the stakeholders' participation, nurturing rise in the society. Again, I will use the term, please build soil organic carbon, build soil organic carbon. And also the regulated reward of reducing carbon footprint. Regulated reward means the people who actually build soil organic carbon, they must be rewarded. I am asking at the end when I complete that there should be reframing of policy of the government. And stakeholder participation, again, same parameters. These are the types of things which are happening for social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. Next, please. And fresh water, just a brief, I'm not going into detail. Total fresh water availability in this country is 1,869 billion meter cube. Utilizable fresh water is 1,123 billion meter cube. 690 billion meter cube is surface water. 433 billion meter cube is groundwater. And agriculture share is 82%. And groundwater development means actually the area, how much water we harvest divided by how much water we add. That is, if it is more than this ratio is more than 70%, then we are depleting. If this ratio is less than 70%, we are not depleting. 92% of groundwater safe districts in 1995 became 68% in 2015. So over a period of just 20 years, we actually lost so many districts which were groundwater safe, which are no more groundwater safe. And surface water, 1951-2015, area increased 8.3 million hectare to 17 million hectare. Utilization fell from 40% to 25%. So whatever we gained by area, we lost by utilization. Mishandling delivery, loss is 40%. Flood irrigation, loss is 30%. These are the main causes. Water use efficiency, surface water 30%, groundwater 55%. 20% enhancement will save 129 billion meter cube, 18% of the total surface water. Possible if political involvement, political will to price water and farmers as partners and involvement of private agencies as collaborators for maintenance and distribution of soil water is assured. Suggested action plan, next please. And there are again the action points where the major issue is actually how you can read it. I can read from there for you. Introduce system of water auditing. This actually issue was started by Andhra government. Then Telangana and Andhra were the one state. That's the time this was started, that we should start auditing of the water system, where the leaks are there. How we can stop those leaks? If we know the leak, we can stop it. Then pricing of water is necessary. Heavy charges at least equivalent to operation and maintenance cost of canal system. As much it actually works out, operation and maintenance of canal system, that much charges should be there, which is not very high. Decentralized canal water use give push to actualization of PIMM, participated integrated management and maintenance. Participated irrigation management and maintenance, facilitate formation of water use association, allowed private sector role in water conveyance. Conveyance is the major problem, and volumetric delivery system. That maybe now open the plug and the water comes into your field, no measurement. And government must invest in lining of canals. Estimated cost, I have estimated it. 20,000 kilometers is the canal length in the country. About half of them are lined. Or allow public-private partnership for improvement of canals and distributaries. Till 25% will be wasted. It's all done, and this much is allowed. Actually, you cannot stop total. Replacing open water delivery by conveyance via closed human pipes. This has been done in Israel. Israel is one country which has actually regulated the water loss through conveyance system. And suggested framework of PPP, public-private partnership. This is done in Egypt. Agree for design, build, operate model. Public-private partnership to involve water user associations in execution of projects. Water user associations agrees to pay fixed tariff on area basis and vulnerability. This is actually the DBO or design, build and operate. It is actually operative in country. It is operative for roads. Roads are built by the private sector. They are maintained by the private sector. They are run by the private sector. They are charged by the private sector for certain amount. That is toll tax which you pay. So that kind of model exists. So that kind of model has to be done. Initiate benchmarking performance of irrigation projects, programs and policies. Build farmers' capacity to make self-regulatory decisions and power use. Power use in Punjab. Who will bell the cat? Who can stop giving free power in Punjabis? So it's a kind of self-regulation is important. And lesson, flood irrigation by promoting interventions, elevating water productivity by inducting water efficient crops and methods of application, and spread MI. MI, after such a struggle, country has only about 10 or 11 million hectares of this drip irrigation for MI. Next, please. Now, soil biodiversity. Soil is a living entity. This is what Sadhguru Jaggi is talking these days. He is talking aloud. Soil is not dead. Soil is living. Soil is definitely living. All of the soil scientists, they know it. Soil is a living entity. Inhabits more flora and fauna in species than found above ground. 25% of the total species diversity. And what are the action points? Build soil organic carbon, essential fuel to energize biodiversity, and necessary to enhance future soil. Again, soil organic carbon. Spread RA, regenerative agriculture. It protects, promotes, and nurtures biodiversity. Ensure inoculation with rhizobia to enhance nitrogen fixation, phosphorus and mycorrhiza to phosphorus and potassium solubilizing bacteria. Encourage vermiculture to hasten composting, minimize entry of pesticides and heavy metals over contaminated water. So these are the 5 action points which I have suggested. Next, please. Climate change. This is real. I actually, when I was I was giving my first lecture to DAS in 1999. At that time, I actually criticized the people who actually said that climate change is happening. He said that no, there is no climate change. But by now I realize climate change is real and man is responsible for it. With temperatures rise, productivity of Indian wheat is set to decline up to 23%. You can imagine how much loss will be there, more than 30 million tons. And pushing the price by about 29%. How many poor people will be able to pay it, although government is giving free? Following 3 steps are proposed. Long-term, restore the lost land cover, afforestation. Disallow shifts of ecologically protective land for the uses. Actually, happy news is the land under protective cover has increased during the last 10 years or so. This is largely because of agroforestry, not because of afforestation. Medium term, increase reliance on renewable energy resources by replacing fossil fuels. And near term, spread CA or RA across length and breadth of the country. Spread of precision farming methods, raising fertilizer use efficiency. Develop a system of, this is Kalpana for you because you just now showed me a startup working on this issue. As develop a system of rewards, incentives for those who generate environmental services who generate soil organic carbon. Simple. Next, please. Now, reducing, I just put this slide, although it is out of context as far as soil is concerned, but this is very important. Reducing urea and use. Actually, Prime Minister gave a call in 1920 perhaps to reduce urea and use by about 50%. And urea and 50% is possible to reduce if efficiency is increased from 30% to 50%. And I have suggested an action plan. The major plank of this action plan is precision agriculture, fertilizer nutrient application as per soil test values. And the one very important factor is reducing the amount or proportion of nitrogen as basal dose. Normally, farmers have tendency to apply about 30% of the nitrogen as basal dose. please ask him to reduce this by less than 10%. If we, and nothing happens to rice, I can tell you that. And less than 10%, and if it is reduces to less than 10%, then our saving will be almost 20%. This is one strategy which is near term for fertilizer, which must be. Of course, rest is the balanced managed use, the use of organics in the what is called integrated nutrient supply and management system. And of course, allow manufacturing of all compound fertilizers at local level. This again, Dr. Shastri, this is for you. I was going to tell you at that point in time that compound fertilizers, which are there in about 13 or 14 number, they must be in millions of number. Every village should have its own compound fertilizer based upon the soil diversity, soil variation. And this is possible. There are small compaction machines. This will generate, actually, compaction is nothing but dry granulation. Normally it is wet granulation. When we mix urea and other fertilizers, we do wet granulation. But compaction is dry granulation, and dry granulation machine is not very expensive, which does the job, and you can create based upon the soil test values, needs of the nutrients for a village. This will generate income, that means save fertilizer. This will generate employment because there is going to be industry right in the village. This is another issue which I flag out for you. Rationalized national nutrient-based scheme, expand NBS to all nutrients. I'll tell a little later about this also. Next, please. Now, strategic planning environment. What we should do when actually natural resource is a complex issue. There are 5 elements of strategic planning: goal setting, objectives, outcome listing, and one is environment scanning. That means what is happening, what is the background. So doing that background actually is the one. SWOT is done, strengths, weaknesses, and threats analysis. But strength, weaknesses, threats, and opportunity analysis is incomplete because threats and opportunities, opportunities and threats, they are actually externally influenced. If they are externally influenced, we cannot control them. That's why now what is being suggested is PESL. Yes, please. This is actually the kind of strength, SWOT analysis we make. The opportunities and threats, as I said. And for that, PEST is political, economic, social, technical, and ELI, environment and legal. Next, please. This is actually the PEST model of analysis. If you read the paper which is going to be distributed to you, this is given in detail there. That this is the model which should be followed. That all the political is important. If there is no land use policy, what kind of land saving we will do? If there is no social kind of factors, people are not involved, what kind of land saving we will do? If there is no economic benefits or economic available for saving land, what kind of issues we can raise? And similarly, technological. So this analysis is actually the starting point. One more issue is actually, I will end up this part of my presentation. Now, if I'm over, then now I'll go to next three. Actually select those technologies which are most impact creating and least effort requiring. That means where farmer has to do it simply, as I said, applying less fertilizer in the beginning of the planting season. That doesn't require much effort. Farmer may change, and that is possible. So that is another thing which is important. Now I come to the second part of my presentation, that is regenerative agriculture for soil health, food and environmental security. This subject may be slightly new to some of you, but this is inexistent. RA proposed by Rodale Institute in early 1980s. So that means already 40 years old concept. And focus is on processing recovering lost soil health. I'm actually linking this soil health earlier part of my presentation with this. Due to faulty application of modern technology, RA not a technology. RA is not a technology. A concept prompting soil biology to build soil organic carbon and vice versa. The importance is given to soil organic carbon again building microbes. They are the one actually who are building the soil. And technology make it possible. Technology important. I'm not saying technology is unimportant. Technology makes it possible to happen. Yes, please. Let us just go a little brief about the agriculture. Ancient agriculture is 10,000 years old. According to me, it is more than 12,000 years old if we go by the Rig Veda. Began as mixed farming, transhumance, followed nature, no specific tools and techniques. That will do nothing kind of thing. And low yielding but stable. Area expansion filled the food needs. With time, ancient way of agriculture lost relevance and faded out. But modern agriculture or green revolution, it is about 60-year old. High yielding varieties, irrigation, energy dense agrochemicals are the key inputs. Area intensification is the main route because we don't have area. So from where we will bring area to actually expand agriculture. So we are due for intensification and kept pace with food and other needs of growing population, self-sufficiency, SS is self-sufficiency. Served the key tenets of food security, availability, affordability, accessibility, but not nutritional security and environmental security. Those two parts it did not do. Sustainability short-lived, soil health dented, PFP or input partial factor productivity of inputs fell. Maintaining production costs and improving farm income has become a challenge. Continuing with existing way of modern agriculture, I'm not saying do away with it. The existing way of modern agriculture techniques, application being questioned. Yes. Now look at it here. First thing, we are in comfort, no doubt about it. Food production has expanded almost 4 times. The grain availability per capita, despite the fact our population increased 4 times over the last 60 years or so, the food grain availability per capita has increased, in fact, reality. So the modern agriculture is not bad. Modern agriculture its application is bad. Modern agriculture actually has made us food self-sufficient, and food self-sufficiency is the one element which any country can be proud of and which any country actually can raise his head and talk in equal terms with any other country. The countries who do not have food self-sufficiency, they are actually at least, which we were in 1960s. So modern agriculture is not bad. Let me first make it clear that modern agriculture is necessary. Concern. Compound annual growth rate of food grains production or yield fell. Production, if you look, 3.3% in the early 27 or 28 years of Green Revolution, fell to 1.7%, became almost half. So is the productivity. It gives one more message that all the production, more than 90%, has come from productivity increase. That's why compound annual growth rate of productivity is important, not the production. Because on productivity depends the production. So that should be kept in mind. Why? By subsidizing, why it has happened? By subsidizing farm inputs or practices that degrade soil health. And this policy amplified fall in partial factor productivity. And also non-functional nature of modern agriculture. Non-functional nature means harvesting more and giving less. That is actually non-functional nature. And the PFP, partial factor productivity of fertilizer I have given here, fell from 59 tons per ton of NPK, you can say 59 kg per kg of NPK, to 14 kg by now. Such a big evidence is there. So soil health definitely is in difficulty. Next, please. Let us look at it. Over-exploitation of natural resources and extractive agriculture practices left agriculture stranded at critical juncture. This man is puzzled. Farmer is puzzled, poor man. Overstressed natural resources, that means we overstep. RCA, Royal Commission on Agriculture, in 1928 in its report said, Indian soils depleted to the extent no further depletion is possible. And the situation is the same. I can tell you that our soil organic carbon has the kind of levels which we cannot deplete anymore. If that is the case, then we are nutrient deficient. Third is misuse of irrigation water. In a recent decade, groundwater depletion, groundwater depleted by 61%. Stressed units means where the development is more than 70%. Water units rose. And Telangana is not exception, about 52%. And total reliance on high-yielding varieties, exclusive or overuse or misuse of fertilizers, neglect of organic sources, repeating it, and industrial path of agriculture, focusing mainly on productivity. This is actually has been the type of extension we have been doing, increased productivity by increasing fertilizer use. It was seldom told that increased productivity by efficient use of fertilizers. That was the kind of issue which was there. Next, please. Now, consequences. What kind of consequences are there of modern agriculture? Exclusive reliance on yielding varieties, spread of genetically uniform varieties, routed the existence of native biodiverse types. Now, Kalpana Shastri is searching for native biotypes because I was told this morning by one of her colleagues that there is a kind of pigeon pea variety, Tunder. What is the name, Dr. Kalpana Shastri? Tantu. And that has actually come to fore. Cultivation of 30,000 land races of rice before Green Revolution shrinks to less than 15 by 2005. What happens? Damage to biodiverse genotypes diminishes potential to plant breeding, to enhance or develop resistance to new pests and diseases, mounting use of pesticides, soil microbial diversity hit, soil health falls, quality of food becomes questionable. And overuse, misuse of fertilizer and use efficiency, 54.8% when we are using less fertilizer, when we are using more fertilizer, 31.6%. And exponential fall, 53% in 1961-65, 33% in 1906-1909. So this is the kind of things which are happening. If this is happening, what is the reason? Yes, please. What is the outcome? Actually, focus on subsidy on fertilizer nitrogen, aggravated mining of soil phosphorus and potassium, intensified efficiency, and typically of potassium led to actually more mining, less additions. About 7 million tons, 6 million tons gap is there. And 6 million tons gap, please mind, it is only of potassium. It is no other nutrient. It is 6 million tons gap is only of potassium. And Dr. Ramamoorthy used to teach us, balanced nutrition is important. His soil test correlation, which he developed, equations he developed. This was the point which he was making in 60s or early 70s. And now what happened? Fall in productivity of 40 years is long term. If it is controlled, the productivity, mean productivity is 1236 kilogram of wheat, 100% nitrogen, 3 tons, 100% nitrogen phosphorus, 4.1 tons, 100% NPK, 4.7 tons. So just by balancing, we can get it. This is experimental evidence which has come over a period of 40 years, not 1 year. And drop in response to NPK. This is very interesting. Agronomic efficiency, that means kilogram of grain per kilogram of nitrogen. When I was student, I was in 60s, I was told that every kilogram of NPK gives about 10 to 12 kilograms of grain. Response was 12 kilograms. Today, I have calculated it is only 5 kilograms. So that's why the farmer is kind of puzzled that how much fertilizer he should apply. And then it spurs actually overuse of nitrogen, spurs fertilizer nitrogen. And this is one of the biggest factor of nitrous oxide rising and climate change. Because nitrous oxide may be very small in quantity, but its life is very long, half-life is very long. And its actually warming potential, global warming potential is more than 300 times than that of carbon dioxide. So that's why these are the kind of things which are happening. These are experimental evidence. This is data from 1905 global data up to recent. Yes, please. Now, what is the other thing which has happened? Relative share of farmyard manure, that means organic manures, and fertilizer NPK. In 1951, organic manure use was 95%. Only 5% was fertilizer. But if we look now, 93% of the 95 has been replaced by fertilizers, and only 7% is organic manures. This is the change that has happened. Then, generation of organic manures, we are not poor actually. We generate about 2 billion tons of fresh organic manures, or approximately 1 billion tons of the dry organic manures. And of that, only 389 or 32% is used. 70% goes waste, one way or the other. We have so much. So this is another point which need to be considered, that how to increase the available organic manure, organic matter, which is available to us for agriculture. And what has been the consequences? I have put data again from long-term fertilizer experiment. If initial was 0, in vertisol the fall was 15%, and in alphisol 24%, in septisol 32%, and mollisol 58%. Mollisol is the organic matter rich soil. Organic matter rich soils actually suffer the maximum. Because in a low organic matter soil, there is what is to lose. There is already very low. And farm manure plus SOC rise 30%. If farm manure is added, 30% rise is there. If zero tillage is added, another 30% rise is there. So this is the kind of information which is available. The question is how to apply it. Next, please. Now, economic and environmental concerns and cost of falling biodiversity, partial factor productivity, agronomic efficiency, nitrogen use efficiency, soil organic carbon, and rising greenhouse gas emissions. Only 3% of the world soils are in good health. 97% suffer from one problem or the other. Some suffer from many, some suffer from few. 75 billion tons of topsoil lost every year globally. In India, we lose 5.4 billion tons every year. And this costs us, each Indian costs about 5,000 rupees per hectare per year. This is the cost, economic cost. 12 million hectares of soil degraded per year in world, and India degrades 0.24 million hectares. Consequences: global warming at 1.15 to 0.2 degrees Celsius every decade. If this happens, you can imagine that what will be 2050. This is the kind of concern. Loss of 1/3 terrestrial biodiversity. We have lost that. Loss of 20 million tons of food grains every year globally. India loses about 0.4 million tons at this point. This is going to be a serious issue. And monetary loss, India loses 3.2 billion rupees and 2.5% of GDP. World loses US dollar 128.4 trillion, which is 2 times of gross domestic product of the world. Saving land is much cheaper than wasting its health, hurting its health. And reaching goal of one health and oxymoron is really going to be difficult if soil health remains impaired. All this goes on due primarily to man's mismanagement-driven loss of soil organic carbon. Again, I have questions. I want to bring home this point to you today, that soil health is soil organic carbon. And the building block of soil health concerned FAO observed. FAO has actually recently observed 2030. Agriculture must literally return to its roots by rediscovering the importance of healthy soil, drawing on natural resources of plant nutrition, that is organic manures, and using mineral fertilizers wisely. It's not saying do away with the mineral fertilizers. Use fertilizers, but wisely. And why? Focus on SOC. Why you must be questioned now. I come to that. Yes, please. Soil organic carbon maintains balance of fertility, physics, and biology of science. Actually, soil health is defined by 3 parameters: soil fertility, soil physical health, and soil biology. Builds food security. I have not presented here. I will show you later. Here. Who builds food security, regulates climate change because it is storehouse of nutrients. More than 90% of the nitrogen, 90% of sulfur, more than 50% of the phosphorus, more than about 70% of the micronutrients, they reside in soil organic carbon. So that's why it is called soil organic carbon is storehouse of nutrients. And Regulate soil structure and enhancer of water holding capacity. Soil structure maintenance, water holding capacity enhancement is very important. Typically for a state like Telangana, where dry land agriculture is very important. If water is conserved in the soil, we can save it from drought at least for a couple of weeks or a couple of days by the time rain comes. Nurturer of soil biota, soil microbial, and microbes decompose soil organic matter, initiate carbon and nitrogen cycles. Actually, we have forgotten about that. Carbon and nitrogen cycles. They are actually basic for maintaining climate change. They are regulating climate change. Affects nitrogen use efficiency, food security and sufficiency. Excess fertilizer nitrogen, tillage, again tillage, misuse of organic manures, aggravates soil organic matter loss and climate change. And bringing up to fourth, hitherto neglected role of soil biology to build soil organic carbon, devising alternative systems of farming. Dr. Rao, your subject, you recently did a very big report, very important report, I would say, on alternative system of farming vis-a-vis the modern farming, and becomes first ranking strategy of green revolution. If you look at the nitrogen use efficiency, if organic manure is added, nitrogen use efficiency is very high, whether it is base or whether it is wheat. And if we look at the available zinc, that means micronutrients, available zinc increases almost 2 times to 3 times with farmyard manure addition. That means soil organic carbon buildup. Food self-sufficiency, foods 1970 to 1990, if NPK was the way of doing things, food NPK, during the first 20 years, the growth was 1%. It is an experimental farm. That's why please don't confuse with the all India figure. It fell to 1.1% after 20 years. With farmyard manure, the growth was there 2%. It became zero. It did not become minus. It has fell because they must have some more factors come. So hence need is for alternative system farming that inspire building soil organic carbon, soil health, food security, and containing climate change. Next, please. Now, what are the alternate systems of agriculture? This is interesting. This is important. Not all you must have reviewed each one of them. First is LISA, low input sustainable agriculture. This is given by USDA. LISA optimizing the management and use of internal production inputs. That means on-farm resources. That means crop residues, etc. And minimize the use of off-farm resources, fertilizers, as is feasible and practicable to lower production costs and save the health of soil. And ZBNF, zero budget natural farming, which is talked about these days, Government of India is investing very heavily. I won't say anything. An agricultural practice that espouses natural growth of crops without adding any agrochemical, mainly cow dung plus urine-based decoction smeared on seed or applied to soil, replace fertilizers. This is the system of zero budget natural farming. Organic farming, agriculture system that uses ecologically based pest control for soil fertility management, utilizes biological manure derived from animal and plant waste, biofertilizers, organic fertilizer, unprocessed mineral sources, and nitrogen fixing intercover crops. And natural farming, do nothing. Natural farming is best. Do nothing, but emphasizes avoidance of manufactured inputs and equipment and mimics how nature supports crop growth and development. This is the kind of definition of natural farming. And conservation agriculture, a farming concept that promotes farming by adopting zero tillage, diversification, and residue mulching. This is the 3 elements, very good elements, no doubt about it. I don't say. FGW, farming God's way. Now here comes the faith healer, here comes the guru. Farming God's way actually is a Christian concept. It is done in Kenya of Africa. Farming God's way is CA actually, nothing else. Interpret CA principles for the faithful, that people who are following Christianity, employing biblical metaphors such as God doesn't plow. भगवान कभी धरती नहीं बाता है, हालांकि दिखाते हैं कि बलराम के पास तो प्लाव था, और ये मुझे पता नहीं, मैं चलाता था नहीं. It says God doesn't plow. God's blanket, that means cover on the soil. And Garden of Eden, that means always green. That's the kind of concept they espouse. And luxuriant plant growth, they shield soil from erosion. Yes, please. Now let us look at the Artist of Agriculture by assessment. Zero budget natural farming, experimental. Yield of sunflower. This is an experimental evidence by a student from Karnataka. NPK plus farmyard manure and farmyard manure plus Jeevanamrita. Please mark the term farmyard manure with Jeevanamrita. That means zero budget natural fund decoction at par. Nutrient mobilization and microbial diversity superior with the litter. This was the paper published in 2009. I'm giving experimental evidence. And field survey, zero budget natural farming yields are largely inferior. This is a report by NARM, except when added with farmyard manure. If you add farmyard manure, the yield becomes all right. Otherwise not. Otherwise yields are inferior. And what we want inferior yield? We don't want. We have to feed the country. And help farmer get more income due to reduced costs. This is a belief. And better soil health. This is again a perception. There's no proof. These are the normal. LISA practices highly favorable for sustaining soil health, but not for sustaining food self-sufficiency or food security. Organic farming. You can see here control 644, farmyard manure 1000, 40-year data again. Farmyard manure 1652, NPK 2392. So organic farming yields are low. Organic farming is applicable for some niche area, from niche crops, from areas which are difficult, for crops which are valuable. Organic farming is helpful, but organic farming, if you want to recommend for rice or wheat, I think they are not. So that's the answer. Now conclusion, if you look for ZBNF, zero budget natural farming, organic farming, LISA, natural farming, productivity potential questionable. No doubt about it, absolutely no doubt. And maintenance of soil health or ecological services, yes, but again, proof is needed. We need proof for that. Yes, please. Now, I have not talked about CA. I have actually studied CA from my previous slide. Here, let us look at the CA. CA pro-crop sustainability, no doubt. Pro-sustainability of agriculture. Helpful to soil health and contains climate change. Reduces costs, no doubt. Full complement of CA, full complement, all the three elements of CA. That means zero till, diversification, and mulching. Full complement of CA produces yield advantage. Improved drainage, only then, otherwise not. Improved drainage being critical, 92% value, a meta-analysis. Raised bed and furrow, Sugna rice technology, this is followed in Maharashtra, which is on again bed planting, and CTF, controlled tractor furrow system followed in Australia. They actually add value. Response to CA superior rain-fed areas. Please mark this. This is very important. Without mulching, benefits diminish. Rain-fed agriculture also, if you have to have benefits, mulching is necessary. But where is the organic manure for mulching? That's the question. A higher response with RDF, recommended dose of fertilizer nitrogen application, meta-analysis, despite proven benefits, higher return. Spread of CA limited. In India, for the last almost 50 years, CA has been in existence. It is actually spread is not more than 2 billion hectares. It's very limited. This is a concern. Now, why? Yes, please. This is CA assessment, limited spread in India. Weaknesses, yield performance. Farmers are not convinced that CA can increase yield, and 95% of the farmers believe that. And equipment costs. Equipment costs are high, 74% of the farmers believe that. Drainage is important, but drainage is not there, 94% of the farmers. So on all things it appears, and it has no place for integrated nutrient management. That's another problem. It doesn't have place for bioinoculants. It doesn't actually very much give credence to drainage, apart from the high cost of equipment. So in comparison, now I come to my subject. Regenerative agriculture philosophy, RA is regenerative agriculture. Philosophy is more comprehensive as it incorporates practices of principles of CA. It incorporates this. This is CA plus and modern agriculture and combines modern agriculture. And in fact, CA works as a bridge to sustainable agriculture. That means RA works as bridge to SA. CA to bridge to SA. RA is destination to SA. Sustainable agriculture. Now, what is sustainable agriculture? Next, please. Sustainable agriculture is application of sustainable development principles. Sustainable development principle, again, holistic management. To agriculture, ensuring production of food while respecting ecological, economic, and social limits that sustain durability of that production. Sustainable agriculture espouses production systems that are efficient, self-supporting. That means they actually can regenerate and economical, and that ensure food self-sufficiency and provide decent incomes. Again emphasizes the food self-sufficiency. Farming methods that protect soil integrity and biodiversity. Texts that optimize the use of natural resources by focusing on BEAM. BEAM is biologically enhanced agricultural management. BEAM means biologically enhanced agricultural management. And practices sustaining quality of soil, air, and water. Innovations enhancing energy efficiency, food production, and distribution. RS supports all five. Regenerative agriculture supports all the five of these requirements. Yes, please. Now, regenerative agriculture, what kind of definition is there? What I already said in my opening slide, that regenerative agriculture is a concept. Soil has self-healing capacity. What is called, although normally soil scientists believe, soil cannot renew itself. Yes, soil can renew itself, but takes time. Soil loss doesn't need time. It is lost in no time, actually. Soil has self-healing capacity to regain lost productive capacity. That is what the olden people did. They actually left the land fallow. That was a self-healing capacity. And flow of ecological services. If damaged beyond natural repair, if natural repair cannot do that, then regenerative agriculture comes to the rescue as it aims not only to heal, but also to resuscitate. This is additional factor. Again, revive also, not only to heal, but make it better. That is the meaning of regenerative agriculture. RA, an integrated agricultural concept, nurtures soil health renewability by ecological enhancement of sustainable productivity, as I said in the last slide. Focuses on infusing health into soil ecosystem by amplifying role of soil biology. Please don't forget soil biology and soil organic. And utilizes best elements of green revolution, natural farming, zero budget natural farming, organic farming, low input sustainable agriculture, conservation agriculture, and adds, this is additional point, adds strength by welding crop and livestock farming, and emphasizes long rotations, agroforestry, and growing plants using methods zero tillage, no monocropping, and that revives soil ecosystem. System of RA, system of regenerative agriculture, sustainably enhances yield, soil health, and mitigates climate change. Channelizes potential of soil biota to build more soil fertility and physical condition that one expects from others alternative system of agriculture, and insulates exit from soil of sequestered atmospheric carbon dioxide. That is climate change. This slide actually I put purposely. This actually by, again, a mentor, Dr. Y.L. Nane. I respect him so much. He asked me once when I was director of CREDA that why ficus or people religiosa actually can grow in walls. There is no soil in it. Tell me, you are a soil scientist, I could not answer that question. So that's why I put this slide. Biologically enhanced agriculture management, this is nature's factory, replaces chemical factory. What is biological enhancement system? Biological enhanced agriculture management, BEAM, nature's factory of manufacturing nutrients replaces chemical factory of manufacturing nutrients. This is actually the, in nutshell, the BEAM. And soil biology is the pivot. Has immense untapped potential as it inspires nutrient absorption from in little soil. As little soil is available to give a hold, actually, it uses that one. RA utilizing beam focuses on exploiting that power of soil biota. Endophytes. Outside soil, but inside plants like ficus. This is the ficus religiosa. Endophytes are an example of microbes, mainly mycorrhizal fungi. Actually, I wrote to Dr. Rao when I read his report that, sir, you have to improve your little report little more with mycorrhizal fungi. And that can connect plant roots to soil nutrients that otherwise are beyond their reach. Nitrogen fixing rhizobia. I'm the engineer of natural farming. Natural factors. Now, so let us look, this is interesting. This is the only data which is available on RA. I can admit that. Experimental evidence on beam, David Johnson from US, a 4.5-year study, field study promoted annual average capture and storage of 10.27 metric tons of soil carbon per hectare per year. This is about 0.5% increase, 0.4 to 5% increase every year of soil organic carbon, while increasing soil macro, meso, and micronutrient availability, offering a robust, cost-effective carbon sequestration mechanism within a more productive and long-term sustainable agriculture management approach. This is it is his quotation. I am citing him, quote unquote. Climate change containment potential, that means climate regulation potential, 10.27, the figure which is given on the top, into 3.67. 3.67 is converting carbon to carbon dioxide. Because we have to, global warming is measured in carbon dioxide. So 3.67 is the carbon dioxide, means 37.7 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare per year. This is the kind of potential. Or 184 gigatons carbon dioxide per year, cropland plus pasture lands. And this is 10 times greater than the equivalent carbon dioxide increase, which is happening because of the 2 to 3 ppm rise in carbon dioxide every year. Because the current rise of carbon dioxide, if you are student of carbon dioxide dynamics, you can see the carbon dioxide rise is about 2 to 3 ppm every year. So it is given 2.3 for the last 10 years. And cropland, if we take only 1,500 million hectares, the world 57 gigatons, only 30% area is needed for RA to mitigate the carbon dioxide emitting potential. And for India, 5.4 gigatons, 50% area will be needed in the RA to mitigate their carbon expansion. However, I caution, insufficient experimental data to conclusively confirm Dr. Johnson's findings. Multi-location, large plot experiments are necessary to validate. But what he says is right, it's no doubt, but we need to validate. These are the general elements of regenerative agriculture. Minimize soil disturbance, zero till. Maximize crop diversity, cover crops. Keep soil covered, longer rotations, relay cropping. Maintain living roots, malnutrition, agroforestry, relay cropping, organic farming, build soil microbial diversity, integrate livestock by rotational grazing or regulatory grazing, encourage drainage, rational use of synthetic or input-based fertilizers, in a sense, RA nucleus around beam, zero-till, soil cover, mixed cropping, integrated farming, for putting back more into soil than taking it. So this is a holistic soil management concept. Next, please. All the 9 or 10 elements are not necessary. Adopting all 9 practices is not necessary. Focus on 5. Zero tillage, longer rotation, centering on mixed cropping, use of organics, mixed farming. Multiple practices allow to align with location situations. If you have diversity, you can align with many situations. And as per selected practices, translate RA into fulfilling goal and vision of agricultural production system. That means agriculture production plus more. Beyond that, when the way we eat food, the way we store food, the way we waste food, that is agricultural production system. Climate change containment and livelihood security, integrate vigorously the functioning of useful soil biology. Need is there for mainstream regenerative agriculture practices and principles, and to create a market for trade of ecosystem services. This is very important. That means people who are actually generating ecosystem services by following certain conservation practices, they must be rewarded for that. This market has to develop. This market in India has not developed that much as it is developed in some countries. There should be credit for that. Insufficient experience and experimental data call for validation. I said this already, that we need to put up experiments. Next, I will now sum up. India is food secure, not necessarily nutritional. Low value of farmers' well-being index. Level of overall happiness of farmers on farming measured as quality of life is concerned. You know it NSSO data? In NSSO data, it has proven that about 40% of the farmers, given a choice, that alternative way of living, they would like to leave agriculture. This is actually the evidence of low happiness index, low level of overall happiness index of farmers. Soil health degradation, a leading cause. Non-adoption of sustainable land management causing fall in soil organic carbon is the driver. Result, falling factor productivity, output efficiency, income, and competitiveness, rising input costs in agriculture. All happening for not valuing adoption of efficient resource use, PMPs, zero-till, organic manures, the turnover crop residues, and diversification, and faulty faulty public policies. Next, please. In pursuance of these, acceptance and adoption of sustainable land management and its integration with regenerative agriculture concept is fundamental to sustain soil health, maintain food security, and contain climate change. Needed action. Sustainable land management must be farmer-centric. Please mark the word, must be farmers. People simply looking after the land for the present and for the future. People are the managers of land. People should not be replaced with scientists. SLM action plan has no chance of success unless 146 million farmers, typically 126 million small and marginal farmers of the country, accept its objectives, share it in its making, regard it as their own, and are prepared to make contributions in implementing it. Imperative it would be to strengthen a harmonious blend of farmers' land use practices. Please take care of that. And scientific methods of reducing, reversing, conserving, and sustainably securing lost quality of degraded lands. Scientists must develop a mindset that inspires working closely with the farming community for translating results of science into measurable transformational area basis and willing acceptance of application. I can tell you from my experience, if I have become something in terms of science, it was by working with the farmers of Andhra Pradesh, particularly in the coastal Andhra. They are my teachers. They taught me what kind of problems they face and how those problems are to be solved. Yes, please. Revise, strengthen, and modernize operational research program. Unfortunately, operational research program has been abandoned by ICI. I say, please revive it by undertaking action research, not demonstrations. Action research means we are patterned on the lines of system of innovation. System of innovation means actually the stakeholders are the nucleus. Stakeholders are the ones who are the doers. Shift to diversification of agriculture income through integrated farming, high value crops, value addition, and entrepreneurship development. Institutionalization of inclusiveness of most vulnerable people, small and marginal farmers, enabling conditions like facilitating formation of farmer producer organizations, building knowledge and know-how economy of the group, training. And last, reframe agricultural policies and subsidies. This is my request to the government. They will not actually, I'm not saying that remove the subsidies or I say only reframe, redesign, that incentivize farming methods, building soil organic carbon soil health. Continuing presence of a change agent would be the mantra of success to accelerate spread and sustenance of RA practices, support and reward farmers who adopt regenerative practices. Yes, please. Thank you very much. I have listed here, dear humans, you can read it.
Once again, my deepest reverence to Dr. Ramamoorthy. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Dr. Rao, for inviting me.
First of all, let me put on record and appreciate, as we have heard in the morning from Uma Garu, the daughter of Ramamoorthy Garu, that whatever principles, whatever soil science preachings that he has advocated in 1960s, based upon the very, very knowledge and intensive and informative lecture presented by Katyal Garu, even hold very relevant today. And also they are very relevant for the Telangana state of agriculture, what we are in today with regards to water, with regards to soil, the excessive fertilizer use in some districts. You will be surprised to hear people are using somewhere around 400 to 500 kgs of fertilizer today in some districts. Rice after rice, what we are growing, and the amount of water what we are using today. Only one correction I want to submit to the Honorable Speaker, sir, is that the stressed mandals what have been shown 54% in 2017, they don't exist today, sir. That is what I want because of the change that has come in the last 7 years or so. And he has also very excellently linked the soil, food security, health of the people, one health concept, regenerative agriculture. Probably he has demystified the ZBNF, which I have written in 200 pages in one slide, sir. Great to you. And we have spoken of fertilizer use efficiency, water use efficiency, ecosystem services. We don't have in our syllabus, which we were saying for the last several years, ecosystem services. Then COP15, COP26, I don't know how many of you are aware what has happened in just last year, 2021, the United Nations Climate Change Conference. India has committed itself by 2070, has made a political pledge to bring down the climatic change impacts to net zero. Okay, so then he has given a wonderful example of Israel, where I have worked for several years. I think you will be surprised to hear from me. And also, sir, Honorable Speaker, sir, that today in the world, the most water secure country, if anybody is there, that is Israel. They have actually combined the entire philosophy of how to survive in a harsh environment. Today, they have wherever the entire Israel is on the Mediterranean coast, as you know that. Wherever there is a settlement, you have a seawater, saline water treatment plant, which is based upon solar power, and whatever water they use in agriculture there, and whatever water they use in homes, it is again recycled to as a wastewater for agriculture in the greenhouses, and nothing goes as a waste. So I think it is a model that many people need. The other concept of pest, PEST, which actually gives a tenet, what you call it as what the political parties have to today follow, and what are the sustainable agricultural practices we have today, and what needs. He has very clearly emphasized that how, though we develop, say for example, take conservation agriculture, and take intercropping, take split application of fertilizers, what he has mentioned. Split application of fertilizers, you tell the farmer, he immediately adopts it, because there is not much redesigning of the farm is involved. Then when you talk of conservation agriculture, watershed development, then you have to entirely redesign the farm. That is the reason why the technology is very good. It is not being adopted on a large scale. Water stresses, imbalance in NPK use. Now we see in our Telangana how the farmers are using the fertilizers, and recently whatever we have mapped shows that nearly 250 mandals have excessive phosphorus, and now we are trying to stop asking the farmers not to apply any complex fertilizers, apply only nitrogen in some mandals, where we can use PSB, phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, and make use of already built up phosphorus in the soil, so that we can bring down the production costs. Climate change, fertilizer, nitrogen, alternative systems of agriculture. Okay, the sustainable agriculture, regenerative agriculture. So I think it's entire. I think soil science group and agronomy group might be very happy because they need not now emphasize this to students. All the concepts that have been very nicely put in, and most important thing is how they have been linked to the society, how they have been linked to the stakeholders, how they have been linked to the natural resources, what is the practical relevance of them today. And as all of you know that within another 2 to 3 decades, what is going to be the population, what is the pressure, and how this planet behaves at point of time if we don't act now. So many things. I think the entire complete historically how agriculture has performed in this country and what is the state of affairs today and what we need to do in the next 2 or 3 decades, I think has been nicely put in, sir. Though persisted on you for the last 2 to 3 months, I think it was a very wonderful lecture, and I think all the students might have benefited immensely by this, both UG, PG, and PhD students, and as well as my faculty. I appreciate much for being here, for taking this time, and at this age, so you can imagine how many slides he has prepared, how much information has been put in, how many references have been quoted, how much knowledge has been incorporated into that. This is what we have to learn from our peers, how even at this point of time, how they are making effort to bring in so much knowledge to you. I think this is the clear message that what we have, how we have to look at our profession, how we have to contribute to the science, contribute to the society, contribute to the young generation, and so on and so forth. So I request all the audience who are here, giving him a standing ovation for the excellent lecture what he has given to us.